Dear students, let us start the discussion on 04th February 2016 newspaper. The first article is related to the powers of the governor. In recent Arunachal Pradesh crisis, the governor and his role and his relations to the Council of Ministers has come into question. The issues that were raised are: can governor order for a president's rule without giving a chance for the government of the day to show its majority on the floor of the house? In Bommai case, the Supreme Court has established that the place to prove the majority only is the floor of the house, not the Raj Bhavan. So in this case, the governor, without the recommendation for the Council of Ministers, he has ordered for the session of the Legislative Assembly, and also he has decided on the matter to be taken up in the session, the subjects to be discussed in the session. So in this context, to what extent governor can define this role by himself? The articles that come in question are Article 163 of the Constitution, 174, 175. So the governor has to ensure that the time between any two sessions shall not be more than 6 months. And under Article 163, though the governor shall act on the advice of Council of Ministers, he can decide what constitutes to be his discretion. But however, in a parliamentary system, the governor's role is more to guide, and it is not to ostracate the government of the day. In this context, not only the Arunachal Pradesh governors, the governor of Tripura, West Bengal, and also the Uttar Pradesh, they have come into question. So in this context, the central government using the governor as an office to settle the political scores where the opposition parties are ruling in the states is come to light again. So the article says it is not in accordance with the spirit of the cooperative federalism the Prime Minister Modi is talking about. And also, the President of India Pranab Mukherjee has clearly said that the center and the states and their harmonious relationship and the authority and responsibility managing this and providing a balance between executive, legislature and judicial functions is the prime responsibility of the governor. So understand here, maintaining a harmonious relationship between the center and the states, and also the governor shall respect the division of power between executive, legislature and judiciary and shall not enter into the scope of the other subjects. So this recommendation has specifically come up in the light of governor recommending for the president rule, even the matter is under sub judice in Supreme Court. So in this context, the president made this particular comment. Added to that, if you go further, many of the governors are making the comments against the secular structure of the constitution, are also sensitive communal matters. So in this context, governors shall abide by the constitution and its secular fabric, and president has to guide them in this context too. And the next is Femalefeticide. Now the violence against women in India, it is from womb to tomb. In this context, recently, Women and Child Welfare Minister Maneka Gandhi, she has given few suggestions to fight the femalefeticide. The first include identification of sex at birth, a registration of that sex in a public record, and finally ensuring that the institutional delivery is made possible. If these three steps are being followed, the femalefeticide will come down. Now it is a very narrow view of the problem. The femalefeticide is majorly due to socio-cultural problems and patriarchal nature of our society. So the problem has to be addressed at that level. Technologically finding a solution cannot solve the problem altogether. It may increase the psychological burden of the woman. So in this context, what we can do is we can educate the society about the genetics of birth. So the man is responsible for the Y chromosome and determination of the sex of fetus rather than the woman. And the second thing is the strict enforcement of PC and PNDT Act. So if you take Maharashtra, This strict enforcement of PC and PNDT Act has led to the reduction of the female feticide. Now the same thing can be continued in Punjab and other states too. And illusion of equity in the classroom. You know that 86th Constitutional Amendment Act has provided for a right to education, and Parliament also has passed a law to give emphasis to this right to education. So in this context, the 25% of the seats in private schools need to be reserved for the various sections of the society. Universalization of education is a major challenge before the government. To achieve this, the major drawbacks include: 1. The discrimination, especially the Dalits and women. They are majorly discriminated with regard to the private schools. Here you need to understand that the class and caste structure almost come co-equal in case of India. The income differences are well established across the caste lines in India. So in this case, so the lower castes their income levels are very low. So it means they are more approaching the public schools, and their access to private schools is very limited. So it means, so the caste differences are determining the access to private and public schools in the country. And the next is, the ASR report clearly states that there is a difference with regard to the quality of education with private and public, but this is not of much difference. And the girl children education are women, they are dropping from the schools. Though enrollment rate has increased, the dropouts also have increased from the schools. So in this context, what we have to do is this. So we have to provide for the minimum quality standards of education, and also the Kothari Commission has recommended for common school system. So in the privatization mode of education, this common school system is taking a setback. We need to reintroduce it in our school system. And finally, the qualities of human dignity, respect for diversity, all has to be taught from the school education itself. So these are the recommendations we can give. And coming to the cancer. So today World Cancer Day, and what are the reasons why the cancer is growing in the country? So if you see, the food style and changing lifestyle habits have led to the increased incidence of the cancer. So in India, the cancer is mostly diagnosed at a later stage due to poor screening practices. So we can better go for a well-established healthcare system, and survivability of the patients can be improved through early diagnosis. If you take Korea, the survivability is very high, the reason being the early diagnosis and treatment. But the healthcare infrastructure in India is asymmetrically distributed between the rural and urban areas. So increasing the standards of healthcare and also the access to healthcare and stressing on the preventive healthcare can reduce the incidences of the cancer. And the socio-cultural barriers also need to be fought to decrease the incidence of the cancer. Coming to the defense PSUs, many of the defense PSUs are the Navratna companies, because they are making huge profits. Now if you carefully observe how they are making the profits, the reason is this. So their profits do not come from the core activity, but they come from the income which is generated from interest on the advances received by them. So military gives huge advances to these defense PSUs. So Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, Bharat Dynamics Limited, Electronics Limited, Mishradhatu Nigam Limited, that is Midani, all have the same story. So their core activities, the most of the cases the delivery is delayed and quality is suspected, and they are more functioning as the assembly units rather than any innovation or efficiency improvements. So in this case, we need to introduce the competition in this sector or revitalize the defense PSUs to take up the challenge. In defense modernization which is going on in India as of now, if the defense PSUs has to play a major role, we have to develop military industrial complex in India in line with our Make in India program. And coming to Maharashtra roles of de-radicalization plan. If you carefully observe, the Islamic State is showing its entry into the Indian society through technological platforms and the social media. So in this case, the Maharashtra has taken up education route towards de-radicalization of the Muslims, especially in the minority schools. The values of this particular values of democracy and the compulsory enrollment into NCC or Bharat Guide and Training Program all will be taken up to raise the nationalistic spirit. And next is the maritime cooperation. So, the Hamid Ansari is taking a visit to ASEAN countries. Yesterday he was in Brunei, this is in Thailand, where India and Thailand signed a maritime cooperation. So, in this case, so they assured the cooperation is very much necessary to ensure the freedom of navigation and connectivity in Southeast Asian region. So, it is made in the context of the recent South China Sea crisis. And the second thing is, India is going to participate in Cobra Gold 2016, which is an amphibious exercise, multilateral amphibious exercise. And added to that, we are developing or deepening our defense cooperation with many of the Southeast Asian countries. So once the Thailand Prime Minister is set to visit India very soon, and these relationships can be further deepened. And these are the articles for today. Now I just wanted to make a small observation about the de-radicalization plan. So starting Vyayama salas in minority schools, teaching all religious texts in minority schools. So this shows certain different trends. Now observe here. Recently, the government of Maharashtra, it has rolled up something called Madrasa Modernization Program. In continuation of this spirit, it has unrevealed its de-radicalization plan. So, in this context, let us see what are the criticisms that bound to come towards this de-radicalization plan, and articles are bound to evolve over a period of time. Let us see them there. Thank you very much.